What if I told you one of the most beloved characters in cartoon history might actually be one of the greediest characters ever written? In the world of SpongeBob SquarePants, everyone laughs at Mr. Krabs. He's funny, loud, obsessed with money, and always chasing the next dollar. But if you look closer, something strange starts to appear. Almost every time Mr. Krabs pushes his greed too far, something terrible happens to him. Karma. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's humiliating, and sometimes it's straight up terrifying. And today we're uncovering the moments when Mr. Krabs' greed completely backfired. By the end of this video, you might never see the owner of the Krusty Krab the same way again. Mr. Krabs has always been obsessed with profit. From selling SpongeBob's dignity to charging customers for ridiculous things, the Krusty Krab owner has turned greed into an art form. But the world of Bikini Bottom has a funny way of punishing people who take things too far. One of the earliest examples comes from a simple board game. In one episode, SpongeBob and Patrick are playing a game called the Flying Dutchman's Treasure Hunt. It's supposed to be harmless fun, but when Mr. Krabs sees the word treasure, he immediately becomes interested. What starts as curiosity quickly turns into obsession. Krabs becomes so addicted to the game that he literally closes the Krusty Krab just so they can keep playing. But the obsession doesn't stop there. The next morning, Mr. Krabs shows up with a pirate ship convinced that the treasure map from the board game might actually lead to real treasure. SpongeBob and Patrick follow him on a ridiculous treasure hunt, sailing all day across the ocean. Eventually, SpongeBob and Patrick discover something shocking. The treasure map isn't real at all. Mr. Krabs simply taped pieces of the board game map onto a piece of paper to make it look convincing. But here's where things get interesting. Even though the map is fake, it somehow leads them to a real treasure chest buried in the sand. And this is the exact moment Mr. Krabs ruins everything. When SpongeBob and Patrick start talking about sharing the treasure, Krabs suddenly declares that since he's the captain, the treasure belongs entirely to him. The argument wakes up the Flying Dutchman himself. The ghost pirate appears, takes the treasure back, and rewards SpongeBob and Patrick with 2 gold coins for saving him the trouble. And Mr. Krabs gets nothing but a tiny plastic toy treasure chest. The same kind of fake treasure he started with. It's the perfect example of karma. Another moment where greed backfires appears in the episode Patty Hype. One day, SpongeBob invents colorful burgers called Pretty Patties. At first, Mr. Krabs laughs at the idea, but when he sees customers lining up around the block, his attitude changes instantly. Now he wants the idea for himself. Krabs convinces SpongeBob to give him the Pretty Patty stand, while SpongeBob happily returns to working inside the Krusty Krab. At first, everything seems perfect. Customers are excited, sales explode, and Mr. Krabs thinks he's found a gold mine. But the next day, something strange starts happening. Customers begin complaining about the burgers, tongues change color, bodies react strangely, and suddenly the crowd becomes angry. And guess who they blame? Mr. Krabs. He took an idea he didn't understand, pushed it for profit, and ended up taking all the consequences. Another example of Mr. Krabs pushing greed too far appears in the episode Jellyfish Hunter. After SpongeBob accidentally creates a jellyfish jelly Krabby Patty, customers love it. Mr. Krabs instantly sees an opportunity to make more money. He tells SpongeBob to catch more jellyfish, then more, then even more. Soon, SpongeBob realizes what's happening. The jellyfish fields are being completely drained just to keep the Krusty Krab profitable. When SpongeBob discovers the machines extracting jelly from the jellyfish, he finally realizes how cruel the operation has become. And the jellyfish respond the only way they know how. They attack Mr. Krabs and destroy the entire operation. Another classic example comes from the episode Wet Painters. Mr. Krabs hires SpongeBob and Patrick to paint his house. But before leaving, he gives them a terrifying warning. If they get even one drop of paint on anything besides the walls, he'll have their rear ends mounted above his fireplace. The problem is, the house is filled with expensive decorations everywhere. It's practically impossible to paint safely. The entire episode becomes a chaotic nightmare as SpongeBob and Patrick desperately try to avoid touching anything. Eventually, paint lands on Mr. Krabs' most valuable possession, his first dollar. When Krabs returns, he prepares for dramatic punishment. But then the truth comes out. The paint comes off easily with saliva. SpongeBob assumes the whole thing was a lesson about being careful. But Mr. Krabs reveals the real reason. He just enjoys messing with them. But karma strikes again. Mr. Krabs laughs so hard, he ends up spitting everywhere, ruining his own freshly painted house. Then there's the episode Squeaky Boots. Trying to save money on Pearl's birthday, Mr. Krabs buys his daughter a pair of cheap squeaky boots. Pearl hates them immediately, so Krabs convinces SpongeBob to trade his entire paycheck for the boots. At first, it looks like Mr. Krabs has won again, until the squeaking begins. The boots squeak everywhere. They squeak in the Krusty Krab. They squeak in the streets. They squeak inside Mr. Krabs' head. The sound slowly drives him insane. He buries the boots under the floor, but the squeaking continues. Eventually, he even tries to cook and eat them. Yes, eat them. But nothing works. The squeaking follows him everywhere like guilt. And maybe that's the real truth about Mr. Krabs. No matter how much money he earns, his greed always comes back to haunt him. Because the truth is, Mr. Krabs doesn't just like money, he worships it. But in Bikini Bottom, greed rarely goes unpunished. Sometimes karma appears as the Flying Dutchman. Sometimes it appears as angry jellyfish, and sometimes it appears as a pair of squeaky boots that never stop squeaking. And that's exactly why Mr. Krabs remains one of the funniest characters in the entire show, because every time he thinks he's winning, karma is already waiting.